the glory of the Premier League. How did we ever live without it? It is so back. Last night, a brilliant, effervescent, lively, aggressive game of football. And then today, what a cracker we have seen at Craven Cottage. What a lively game. And it was very weird. Really weird. And so rare. How often can you think of a situation like this actually happening? Teams draw, share the spoils, and I think everybody will be fairly happy with the result. Fulham, for obvious reasons, Fulham were obviously happy securing a point on the opening day against Liverpool and putting in a fairly outstanding performance. So we know why Liverpool are happy. But equally, I think that Liverpool will be really happy with that. I think there's a lot that's happened today where if I were a Liverpool fan, I would look at it and go, do you know what? It's actually a really good day at the office for us. They were unimaginably bad for an hour. They were terrible for an hour. They deserve nothing from the game and they've got a point. Darwin Nunez looked worth every single penny when he came on. Mohamed Salah scoring again. Another goal for Mohamed Salah, who has now scored in Liverpool's opening Premier League game in each of the last 6 seasons. And people want to talk to me about Erling Haaland winning the Golden Boot. How dare you? How dare you? Respect these establishment strikers. They are unbelievable. We are living in an era of greatness, and we must not forget it. Nunez, though, so much to be positive about. Do you see what I mean when you talk about it from a Liverpool perspective? The obvious angle here is Liverpool have dropped 2 points, and of course that is true, but there are so many reasons why they should be happy. Salah amongst the goals, predictable, but essential, and therefore it's happened. Darwin Nunez, looking like a bargain, scoring, creating an assist for Mohamed Salah, seeing some partnership, easing the transition away from Sadio Mane into a new era of football, and nicking a point, grabbing a point when they didn't deserve it. You know, overall, over the course of the game, maybe they did, but they were so bad in that first half that overall it could have been catastrophe, and it wasn't. Loads of reasons for Fulham to be positive as well. Loads. I mean, hugely. Mitrovic. What a player he looks. And I don't think we should be too surprised here. There are obviously some footballers who exist in a purgatory state. You know, not good enough for Premier League football, but far too good for Championship football. And I think some thought that Mitrovic might be part of that crew. You know, the club that maybe Dwight Gale is in. The club that maybe Cameron Jerome is the president of. Those players that can't quite cut the mustard in the Premier League but are way too good for the Championship. They get teams to the Premier League. I think people thought that Mitrovic might be that, and I never did. And here it is for why. The volume of goals. He wasn't simply scoring more than everyone else. He wasn't simply the Championship top goal scorer. He was pinging them in. Do you remember when Henrik Larsson was doing it in Scotland and people were like, I don't know if he could do it in the Premier League? You're like, no, hang on. He's not winning the Golden Boot in Scotland. He's scoring 20 more goals than anyone else. He's that much better. And Mitrovic is that. I think he is a Premier League striker. I think he will have a good season. And if he does, and Fulham play with that level of intensity, look, we know that Silva's teams start well, fade, as a rule. But if they can keep up this level of intensity, maybe relegation isn't awaiting them. Maybe they could stay up. But from a Liverpool perspective, look, on some level, Klopp has to be happy. They were off the pace and they've escaped with a point. But Jurgen Klopp has created a brave new world. Jurgen Klopp is very much an architect of modern football. And this sounds insane, but you can't really draw games in modern football anymore. Partly because of the brilliance of Klopp, partly because of the brilliance of Guardiola. Those two have changed the game. You practically need 100 points to win the league. You know, you're going to need, whoever wins the league this year will accrue somewhere in the region of 100 points. And therefore, draws, back in the day, were seen as quite a good thing. Draws these days, when you're chasing a tally of 100, it's only ever 2 points dropped. If you hope to win the league, I don't think there's such a thing, really, as a good point. It's quite an interesting angle, that. Do you know the concept of a good point? I'll take a point. Does that exist for Liverpool, Man City? I don't know if it does. I don't know if Jurgen Klopp can ever really be happy with a point. I don't know if Pep Guardiola, in any circumstance that isn't away at Anfield, can be happy with a point. And obviously vice versa. When Klopp goes to City, presumably he's happy with a point. But I would detect and suggest that would be the only time in a season when a Liverpool fan would take a point. Every other game, it's 3. So because of this brave new world that Klopp has created, every single result counts. And therefore, this season is so draining. The intensity that you have to play at when you are part of the Liverpool setup, if you are a Liverpool fan, the intensity changes things. And therefore today, perhaps, is a bad result. Maybe it will be seen as a bad result. When your standards are so high, every draw will feel like a defeat, particularly in the context. Particularly when the defeat comes of Fulham, who are relegation fodder in everyone's eyes. Everybody thought Liverpool scored 4-5 today. So when you're playing a team that are pretty much seen as being fresh meat, if you don't devour them, you have to be disappointed. But I have highlighted already why I think there is room for positivity. That wild energy of Darwin Nunez. It just looked so impressive from him. He's a record signing. He comes on and he stops Mitrovic leaving this game as a match winner. Scoring one, creating one, and Liverpool eventually clunked into gear. So I think they will use it as a learning curve. I think they will obviously be far better when they next play. But effectively, Liverpool have the luxury of only a few draws per season. They are only allowed to draw a couple of times per season. And they have used one of those terribly valuable chips today. So they're going to need to put some back-to-back wins together. But if there is one thing we know about Jurgen Klopp, it's that he is capable of putting back-to-back wins together. Liverpool are now unbeaten in their last 20 Premier League games. So he's already in the midst of an outrageously impressive run. They also gave a penalty away, Liverpool, today. And it got me thinking, when was the last time they gave a penalty away? Does anyone know? Can anyone remember? I'll give you a clue. It was 52 Premier League games ago. Liverpool have not given away a penalty for 52 Premier League games. Unbelievable, eh? Unbelievable. So, not a good day at the office for Jurgen Klopp. Not what he would have hoped for, but if there is any manager in world football that can use today as a galvanising moment for his team, an education for his team, find the positive and take the positive, and there is positive, we touched on them already. Liverpool have now gained 115 points from losing positions under Klopp in the Premier League. It's a lot of points. That demonstrates resilience. And this team are going to have to be resilient, but they most certainly will be. What a day, what a game. I am going to be covering the Chelsea game live on Twitch. I'll put the link in the description below. So if you fancy coming along for that ride, I will see you there. I do hope that you have a wonderful day. If you haven't yet clicked subscribe, please consider doing it right now. And let me know your thoughts to all the points raised in this video in the comment section below. See you on Twitch in an hour or two. Peace.